New York Knicks have officially fired Coach Tom Thibodeau, and they're moving into a different direction. Now, we've seen Coach Tom with two different organizations before, the Chicago Bulls, the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had the same philosophy. Grind out those starting lineups, give them a lot of minutes. He rarely goes towards his bench. This has been his philosophy for many years now. But I look at him with the Knicks. I don't place all the blame on him, even though he does deserve some blame. In game one, his bench, they went out there and you still had Cat in the game. You still had some starters. But without Jalen Brunson, they went on a crazy run. He inserts Jalen Brunson back into game one. The run ends. And the Indiana Pacers, they're picking on Jalen Brunson because of his lack of defensive size. And that's what the Pacers did the entire series over and over again. They went at Cat. They went at Jalen Brunson. And this is going to be a problem with both these players moving forward. Just because you bring in a brand new head coach doesn't mean that Jalen Brunson is going to be one of the best defenders in the NBA, and the same with Cat. They are who they are at this stage of their career, and they're not bad players. They're offensive superstars. They're just not known for their defense. But before I get into Coach Tom and why I ultimately do agree with this move, even though it is a bit shocking to some, I look at Leon Rose. He deserves some blame here. This is the same man that went out there, he signed Jalen Brunson. Phenomenal deal. I will never come on here and say that Jalen Brunson is not worth his money. This man can average 25 to 30 points on any given night. Hell, he may go off for 40 points if he's red hot. He's one of the best offensive stars in the game. You signed him, but you traded 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. That's crazy. And it's not me saying that Mikal Bridges is a bad basketball player. Mikal Bridges is a very good defensive player. On some nights, he's a great defender. He had his moments against Tyrese Halliburton when he's covering him off ball. He's denying him the ball over and over again. He's an amazing defensive player. We've seen this with the Phoenix Suns when they went to the NBA Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks. We've also seen it with the Brooklyn Nets. But offensively, he's limited. He's not going to go out there and give you 20 to 25 points every single night. That's not his game. He's a big offensive wing. When I look at OG, you go out there, you trade Emmanuel Quickly, one of the best bench players in the NBA, and you trade RJ Barrett, who is a very good, consistent starter. He was never a superstar, but he was a good player. You bring in OG, terrific defender, but you're digging into those draft assets over and over again. You're digging into those bench players to go out there and bring in more talent. Dante DiVincenzo was a very good player coming off the bench last season with New York. He regressed with Minnesota. He's still a very good basketball player, but he averaged 15 points a game with New York. You traded him. You traded Julius Randle, who was a non-factor in the playoffs for many series with New York, to bring in Cat. So Leon Rose, he did that. Coach Tom Thibodeau, he didn't do that. This is not a situation to where Coach Tom was the head coach. He's a general manager. He doesn't rule over the organization like that. So from that standpoint, I can understand where you're coming from if you say, hey, Coach Tom was dealt a bad hand. He got the team to the Eastern Conference Finals. But at the same time, they were trying to go out there and win a championship this year. The same defensive adjustments he made against the Boston Celtics, the same adjustments that he made against the Detroit Pistons, he didn't do that against the Pacers. And the New York Knicks ownership, they felt like they were a better team than Indiana. They were pissed off. And there's a lot of reports that came out that he was very upset with how the series ended. But when you go back to game one, that's when the series was lost, in my opinion, for the Knicks. You can always come back in a series. I'll never say that you can't. I've seen teams come back from 3-1. But from how you blew that game, Nesmith went out there and hit 6 threes, and there was no adjustments being made by Coach Tom. And it's too many times in the regular season, he's depending on these starters when you do have players that can come off the bench and give you solid production. Deuce McBride is one of them. He can give you 9 points a game. I know that's not amazing, but 9 points a game, that's a lot for a Coach Thibs team. You look at Landry Shamet, he was able to come in and be a very good three-point shooter. His defense, it is what it is. Josh Hart, that's an interesting player that you had in the starting lineup. He did make an adjustment there. You took him out of the starting lineup to put in Mitchell Robinson. They gave you some more defensive ability there and gave you more size because now Cat is at the power forward position. He's not a true center. So you bring in Mitchell Robinson. Great. And he played with a lot of effort and a lot of emotion in this series. But I look at Josh Hart. He should have never been on this roster to begin with after last season. I'm sorry to say it. Josh Hart, terrific rebounder. Very good defender, but he's an offensive liability. The man is out there shooting air balls from three, and he can't bring the ball up the court to help out Jalen Brunson. So it's one of those situations you can fire the head coach. I agree with that move because he's a stubborn head coach, but you still need to make some roster adjustments here. And I'm afraid that the New York Knicks, they may try to go out there and take a huge swing. I would not trade for Kevin Durant. You look at the Giannis situation, maybe, but look at what you may have to give up. And you're going to be limited moving forward because you already traded 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Keep the starting lineup the way it is. Get Josh Hart off this roster. He can't be a part of this roster anymore. You have to bring in a player that can play very good defense, hit timely threes, and occasionally take the pressure off of Jalen Brunson. That is what the New York Knicks need right now. And they need a coach that's willing to go out there and dig more so into the bench and stop being stubborn. When you look at the modern NBA, this is not the same NBA many years ago when you saw them go out there and they'll have a big three or just a bunch of superstars on one team. Those days are over with. You have to have a solid starting five with very good bench production. Look at OKC. They have the league's MVP, but they have a lot of good pieces outside of him. J-Dub, Isaiah Hartenstein, who used to be on this roster. You couldn't re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein because of the contract with Cat. And he's eligible for a contract extension, and the same with OG. So they have a lot of decisions to make with this roster. But firing Coach Tom Thibodeau right now, it does seem like it's crazy because he got you to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I saw some comments saying that the New York Knicks, they went against a hurt Celtics team. Let's not use that excuse. The Celtics, they were 100%. Sure, Porzingis, he was dealing with an illness. It happens. You deal with injuries like that. It was just an illness, but they still had their top-end talent. The reason why they won that series is because Mikal Bridges and OG, they played tremendous defense late in the fourth quarter. Something they didn't do against the Indiana Pacers on a consistent basis. And Coach Tom was able to go out there and make those adjustments over and over again. It seemed like this team won their championship against the Boston Celtics in the second round. But when they went against the Indiana Pacers, they looked past them. That is more so on the coach than it is the true talent. So hopefully you bring in a brand new head coach. It may be Coach Malone, who's a former head coach for the Denver Nuggets. He did a lot of good things with that organization. But it's more than just a coach here. I understand both sides. But when you're playing your roster and you're giving them heavy minutes in the regular season, I'm talking about your starting five here. What do you think is going to happen in the postseason? It's hard as hell to expect for bench players to go out there that you may only give 5 to 8 minutes to every single night to step up in the postseason. They're not getting consistent play over and over again. It was a lineup in game 3 in the second half. Those players played 0 minutes together in the regular season. That should never happen for any roster in the NBA. We've seen this with the Miami Heat. They have those undrafted players. They won those crazy runs with Jimmy Butler. They had continuity because they played in the regular season together. The same with the Denver Nuggets. They had bench players at the time they won the championship. They had continuity. You look at the Indiana Pacers. They kept that roster together. They'll bring in some new pieces here or there, bring them off the bench, but they were able to make adjustments when Tyrese Halliburton went down. They'll be able to make adjustments for when a Pascal Siakam may miss a game due to an injury or to a rest. You don't see that with the New York Knicks. You don't see that with a Coach Thibs team. And I still have a lot of animosity with Coach Thibs for the simple standpoint. Derrick Rose, many years ago, and I know a lot of people say get over it. This man tore his ACL with only a couple of seconds left in the game. You had the game won, but yet you left your superstars in that matchup, pulled them out the game. And he did the same exact thing with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He grinded those men in the regular season so much. When they got into the postseason, they were gassed out. They were tired in the first round. Very good regular season head coach, but he can't make those adjustments. And it was too many times in the regular season to where you look at it from this standpoint here. Without Jalen Brunson running the offense, what do the New York Knicks have as a scheme? We've seen the Pacers when they have the ball out of the hand of Tyrese Halliburton. The same with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The same with the Los Angeles Lakers when Luka and LeBron, they may not have the basketball in their hands. Here comes Austin Reeves because J.J. Redick, he's making adjustments. Coach Chris with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, he's making adjustments. With Coach Tom, it's so many times where Jalen Brunson, he's going out there dribbling the ball for 17 seconds. Go out there, help us out, make the offense better. And you do want to run your offense through your best player. But when he's not in the court, it's a major drop-off more times than not. That's why it was so important to keep those bench players in the game, because it's very rare for your bench to go out there and give you good production like that on a consistent basis. Without Bronson, without Cat, they don't have the offensive guys, and they didn't have the offensive game plan in general to go out there and have a true scheme. And that comes down to coaching. They denied Jalen Brunson the ball for majority of the games against the Pacers. Their offense took a major step back. It took for Cat to have a historic game late in the fourth quarter and one of those matchups for them to win that game. If he didn't go out there and he didn't have the fourth quarter that he had, if Mikal Bridges didn't have the 14 points in the fourth quarter against the Boston Celtics, we're talking about things different here with the New York Knicks. So I know right now it may seem crazy. It may seem like the owner, he came out, well, the governor, it's the NBA. He may have came out. He may have made a drastic decision. He's done some of these things before in the past, and I don't agree with it. I still don't fully trust him as a governor, but I still like the Knicks in their starting five with having Mitchell Robinson in there with Cat. Don't go out there and trade for Kevin Durant. Don't make a move to bring in Giannis. You'll have to give up too much. You bring in Kevin Durant, it'll mess up the team chemistry. You need to bring in some better, versatile bench players and a coach that's willing to go out there and dig into that bench and give them consistent minutes. Because hell, even if you did have good bench players, we've seen this before with the Chicago Bulls, with Minnesota. Coach Thibs, he wasn't going to give them consistent minutes in the first place. You look at DeLon Wright, he was able to come in and give you solid minutes. The same with Landry Shamet, but he didn't believe in those guys. And the same with Precious Achiuwa. You look at Precious Achiuwa, he's not a good starting player, but he was able to come in and hit his free throws. Mitchell Robinson, they're fouling him over and over again. The Boston Celtics take him out the game, put in Precious Achiuwa. He didn't do it. And he struggled shooting the free throws. Even against the Pacers, he shot a little bit better. Then Coach Thibs finally decides, you know what, we're going to take him out the game in the third quarter. Let's put in Precious Achiuwa for a couple of minutes. Elite coaches would have realized that early on. And Coach Thibs, he never did. He got outcoached by Rick Carlisle. They still lost to a better team in the Pacers. So I'm not trying to make an excuse from that standpoint, but Coach Thibs, he should have been better. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the New York Knicks moving on from Coach Thibs? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.